Let me bring in Republican Congressman from New York, John Faso. And sir, you're upstate New York. He began by talking about this blizzard that is bearing down. We can show the radar at the moment. He said we are in good shape. He's in touch with FEMA. But as we look at this, tell me how prepared or how concerned you are about it. It's expected to be pretty big.
Well, upstaters are generally very well prepared for snow, unlike down here in Washington, D.C. I did come down early today, though. I had plans to come down tomorrow because of the blizzard, but we'll be well prepared, and hopefully everyone will be safe and not try to travel unduly because tomorrow is going to be a very difficult day in the Northeast.
Indeed, indeed. All right, let's get to issues of the GOP replacement plan for Obamacare. It's now going to your committee. You're on the Budget Committee. And I need to know how it's shaping up, because we do have somewhat of a growing laundry list of Republican representatives and a few senators, too, who at this point say, no, we're not voting for this thing. I mean, Darrell Issa is now saying, I'm not prepared to support the bill. As you know, Rand Paul doesn't like it. Representative Mark Meadows said not yet. Jim Jordan's upset by it, and Mark Sanford said he struck a better tone on my show on Friday, simply saying, you know, this is just the beginning of a negotiation. How do you see it?
Well, it is a negotiation, but it's as Speaker Ryan has said right throughout, it's a three-step process. First, it's this budget reconciliation, which takes out the financial underpinnings of Obamacare. But Obamacare is having grave problems all throughout the country, some places more so than others. But next, after reconciliation is accomplished, regulation has to change at the Department of Health and Human Services. Tom Price has already started doing that. But lastly, we're going to have to negotiate with Democrats on a third bucket, as Speaker Ryan calls it, to enact statutory changes that will be necessary to fix the insurance system. The insurance regulatory system is really what's the cause of high premiums.
Let me just jump in here.
Yes.
You just said something that John Kasich, the governor of Ohio, wrote last week in an op-ed saying Republicans must reach across the aisle. You said we've got to negotiate with Democrats, and
yes.
He also said, and Democrats must accept that reach. Do you really believe that can happen? Do you have friends who are Democrats? I mean, I think that we have a situation in D.C. now where we see this gigantic wall that's between the two of you.
Well, I think a lot of Democrats are invested, even though, as President Clinton said last year, he called Obamacare a crazy system, which is penalizing working people and middle-class people all across the country.
He did say that, yeah.
I've said all along we need to fix what doesn't work in Obamacare, but keep what does work. Everyone agrees that we need to deal with people that have pre-existing conditions, kids on plans until they're 26. There's no disagreement about that. But I think ultimately, right now, it's the Democrats have dug their heels in. They don't want to recognize that the system is collapsing in many respects, particularly the insurance regulatory system. But we're going to have to get to a point where we reach across party lines and negotiate a compromise on legislation to ultimately fix this issue.
You know, we're still waiting on the CBO score. It's supposedly imminent, coming this afternoon. But listen, the Wall Street Journal got a hold of an analysis of this that may not help the cause. It's from consulting company or division of Marsh & McLennan, and the GOP plan apparently could hit rural areas particularly hard. And this is a problem for the White House, as many rural areas were strong supporters of President Trump. And we're talking about these are poor, older rural residents. And the cost of the consumer would have to pay would exceed, according to this analysis, the person's annual income. In fact, they gave an example. 62-year-old resident in Nebraska's Chase County earns $18 grand a year, could owe, it doesn't sound right, but could owe $20,000 annually to get health insurance coverage under the GOP plan.
The trouble with that analysis, and it is that it's a static analysis, which considers the tax law changes and the subsidy changes that are in the replacement plan against the existing insurance regulatory system. And as I said, that system has to be changed in part by legislation and in part by regulation from HHS. So that analysis is incomplete. If we were only going to do what is in this reconciliation bill now, I might actually agree with it. Okay. But there has to be other changes that are brought about in the insurance regulatory system. Because what Obamacare did is it federalized insurance regulation. Historically, this has been better done at the state level, but we need to make sure that there are the funds at the state level. And here's where the plan will subsidize this. We have to subsidize those high-risk pools so that people that have pre-existing conditions or very high health care costs, that those costs are covered.
Sure.
And that's the key.
You've got to find that bridge. Representative, thank you so much, and good luck in the storm.
Thank you very much.